Happy Monday, Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake, Scott, Ben Anderson, thank you for making us a part of your day, your week, your month. However, you're consuming us as well. You can listen to the show a variety of different ways. KSLSports.com, over the radio, YouTube, streaming, the KSL Sports app. What am I missing here? Ben, download podcast, our beloved podcast listeners.
Yeah.
If you ever missed part of the show, just go back and listen to it at your leisure. Just simply search out the Jake and Ben Show. Hi, Ben.
Hey, Jay.
What's up?
How are you, buddy?
You have a busy weekend?
I did.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, I'd say. Which we will dive right into. We realize there is an update in the Jake Rzoff situation, which we'll get to in the top three stories of the day at KSLSports.com. I'm doing that for me. I'd rather get started talking about really interesting basketball stuff over the weekend. Okay. So I'm guilty of being selfish here. Apologies.
All right. That's fine.
Because the Rzoff thing is a huge story. So long and short of it, the breaking news is that lawsuit is going away.
Yes.
So we'll get into it. Top three stories of the day at KSLSports.com.
Right.
But the Jazz draft pick showed up. Predictably showed up.
Jazz made a trade. Free agency opens tonight at 6 or 4 p.m. So we got this is a big NBA day.
So I think you should take us through what happened, the press conference and everything.
My understanding is everything has gone smoothly, and I was there yesterday.
Yeah.
You know, but everything went smoothly, and everything I've heard from people behind the scenes and what they said yesterday, I think is all accurate. I don't think there has really been any pushback since the Jazz drafted Ace Bailey. I don't think there was any hesitance to come here. I suspect they explored maybe their options, but my understanding, at least I get the sense that the Jazz were pretty strategic in how they approached the entire draft, as far as letting anyone else know what they wanted to do, and maybe even letting Ace Bailey's camp know what they wanted to do. Because if he doesn't know they want to draft, remember Ace last week said, I didn't know they had any interest in me. That might be true. And the Jazz may have done that on purpose to just say, yeah, whatever. We'll invite you for a workout. It's our due diligence. If you don't want to come, okay. And then the Jazz just never fought it and pushed harder, to keep it a mystery for the rest of the teams in the NBA. So no one traded up in front of the Jazz to get them because they liked Ace Bailey. And also, so Ace Bailey's camp can't make a big stink about not going to Utah. If we don't ask and you think it's not an option, we'll talk about Jeremiah Fears a lot, and then at the last second we'll actually reveal what we actually want, which is Ace Bailey. And I believe the Jazz quite liked him in the draft, and it's what we heard from Austin Ainge last week is that they talked 2 weeks ago and said that their ideal draft would have been Ace Bailey and Walter Clayton. He goes by Walt Clayton, by the way, and they were able to execute that. So I don't think there's been as much pushback as certainly the national media reported, if any. And then all the intel I've heard on Ace since he's arrived in Salt Lake has been glowing, other than he's very young.
First thing, I love the going by Walt. Love it.
Yeah.
Love it that he goes by Walt. I like old school names. I've got a daughter, Maggie, Margaret.
Yeah.
Love it. Walt. Okay, so I can get used to that, certainly. 2, we do have some minor breaking Jazz news, and then I do have comment on what you said. Sham says the Utah Jazz are waiving forward Johnny Juzang, making him a free agent.
Yeah. He has guaranteed date today, as is Svi Mikhailuk's.
VHT?
Yeah.
Yeah, good luck to Johnny. He got a lot better here.
He's going to stick. He's going to find a spot.
In the yeah, absolutely. I thought he played well.
He's like 6'7". He can shoot the cover off the ball. He's going to, Denver should go grab him.
And a character guy.
Lakers should grab him. Whatever. You need spacing. You need to not pay him any money. He's a good option.
Absolutely. So best to Johnny. But as far as Ace Bailey goes and the noise and all that stuff, it doesn't matter. It's never mattered. What does matter is that it's a good opportunity for him. And whether he realized it yesterday or a week ago or has yet to realize it, it is true. The Jazz, over the last couple of years drafting, going for a guy, have yet to find an identifiable young stud. They haven't found Donovan Mitchell. You know, they haven't found Rudy Gobert as of yet.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you know me, put some weight on Cody Williams, and let's see where that goes. Yeah, Taylor Hendricks, get him healthy. Let's see where that goes. I'm not writing anybody off, but as of today, that guy is not identified.
Agreed.
So that's a good spot for a dude like Ace Bailey, who's going to come in riding a lot of momentum with the 5th pick, and all the, believe it or not, all the controversy surrounding it is really putting him as a focal point going into Summer League and going into camp, which, if you're thinking about basketball opportunity, is a really good thing. You step in, looks like they're leaning into going young, and we'll talk about the Collin Sexton thing in a minute. And you're going to have the opportunity to be a star right away, which is something that was reportedly not very important. I shouldn't put words in his mouth, but it's something that he wanted once. And you're going to be a star here. He's going to get a ton of attention.
Yep, and a long leash.
And, I don't know, we can get into, what people know about Utah and what they don't, but it seems pretty often, now it's not 100%, but it seems pretty often to me that players don't know what they're getting into when they get here. And then all of a sudden, it's like, oh, this is pretty good. Oh, I don't know what people were telling me about this. This isn't bad. I mean, our guy, Thorough Big T. Bailey, which I always love his story because it's actually kind of similar to my dad's in a couple of ways. But not that my dad was an NBA superstar, but they came from similar parts of the country and came west and loved it. But he's from Prince George's County, Maryland, goes to college in North Carolina in, Durham, NC State's in Durham, which honestly isn't that big of a leap necessarily, but then gets drafted by the Jazz. It comes way out west, huge leap. And luckily we still see Thorough on the reg.
Yeah.
And I don't want to put words in his mouth either, but he seems like he likes it here, I'm guessing.
Derek Favors had a nice tweet about Salt Lake City over the weekend.
Ben, I'm so happy that more voices came out defending Kendrick Perkins, of all people.
Yeah.
Defended Utah. Utah doesn't get enough of that.
Yep.
We don't. And we could theorize on why not. My theory is that this state only goes national news for the wackiest stuff.
Sure.
And so it feeds the misconception that is already out there. And then people go, oh. I mean, even right down to, again, this Jake Retzloff stuff, which we know the nuance of it with BYU, but people don't. And then they cast judgments on a community that, by the way, is quite normal.
Yeah, it is.
And has a lot of benefits.
Yeah.
And you can live a perfectly happy, well-adjusted life regardless of what your interests are. And I mean that.
Yeah.
If you want to go to the bar, there's some fun spots.
Not you, Ace. You're 18 years old.
Yeah, I mean, Hatch could tell you all about them.
Yeah.
He's down there every weekend.
He's been banned for most of them.
Kicked out.
You know it.
You can find stuff.
Yes, you can. You can, and it's not as proficient as it is in other areas of the country. It's not. We don't stay open as late as a lot of places. Our liquor laws are different than a lot of places. I don't think that's the primary focus for most NBA players. Is what are their liquor laws? But there are things that make it harder. There might be a smaller dating pool. There are things that I'm sure make it harder. I do recognize that, but I do think some of the baseline stuff gets really overblown about how different we are than anywhere else.
I'd ever tell you the story about my brother was caught up in a raid on an illegal bar.
Yeah.
And it's a funny story. He had no idea it was an illegal bar. He just knew that it was open late. He didn't think anything of it. And then all of a sudden the cops kicked in the door and stormed it.
But he had a friend on the inside.
He did have a friend on the inside.
Lucky him. So no, I thought it was good. I thought last night was good. I thought or I should say yesterday afternoon was good for the press conference. And everything I've heard is, again, Ace is just extraordinarily enthusiastic about being in the NBA and is happy about Utah and has liked his first 24 hours. And again, it was unscripted. He got off the plane and the first thing he wanted to do was come to the gym. They are supposed to go to the hotel, drop your stuff off, jet lag, whatever. You want to rest, go home. We'll give you a tour, then we'll go out to dinner. And he said, no, I want to go straight to the gym and work out. And he did.
Smart.
I think he's...
That's smart.
I do think he's about basketball. I do think that is the nice thing for him. And you see if you can keep every player on that path. Millions of dollars and fame changes people in a lot of ways. And this isn't specific to Ace Bailey, but he so far I think it's gone off without a hitch.
Or at least that's what they're going to tell us, which is fine. which is fine.
But I haven't heard anything to the contrary. And again, they start practice right now, or they start practice in 15 minutes for the first summer league practice. He's there.
With the draft, whether you like it or not, all of a sudden you're on the same team as somebody, quite literally, but it's to your mutual benefit to pull in the same direction, at least at the start.
Yes.
And I don't know if he ever understood or what he understood, but I think most players eventually understand that.
As you said last week, too. And again, I hate to make it seem like it's even contentious. I don't think there's contention at all. I don't think there's two sides fighting against each other at all in this situation. So I hate to even talk about it like this, but he also has zero leverage.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
There's just no leverage there. So I'm sure you realize that really quickly.
Probably why he wanted to see the facility and the gym right away. It's like, I'm going to be spending a lot of time here. Yeah. Let's see how this is going to work.
Yeah. But
how's the hot water in the shower?
I think he's about getting to work. And I think that's what the Jazz want,
Yeah, good. I mean, that's all good. I think all three of those guys at the press conference yesterday are going to have a chance to make an impact if they want. Yep. And that appears to be the direction that the Jazz are going to go. And it's smart. It's fine.
Yep.
One of those indicators that is the direction they're going to go is the Jazz did make a trade as well yesterday.
Yes, they did.
Ben. 2 for 1. You're already working. You might as well be pounding out a story about a trade.
Yeah.
Collin Sexton and a 2031 second-round pick are headed to Charlotte for Yousef Derk.
Look, this is a terrible trade.
It confuses me too.
I'm not confused by it. The Jazz have too many guards. They're not trying to win games next year. Collin Sexton is both a guard, and he's going to help you win games. So
I understand that part. No. There are other things I don't understand.
What I don't understand is there's not a better market for Collin Sexton.
Yes. You have to attach a pick to get off Collin?
Yeah, you had to give up assets to get off him to get a very average to below average backup center.
Oh, Yousef is not a factor.
Yeah.
That's what's weird about it.
Right.
That they had to eat Yousef's contract and attach a pick to get off of Collin, that seems crazy to me. That's what I don't understand. I understand the motivation, absolutely, for the reasons that you just laid out.
Yeah, and it's that simple. The Jazz want to clear room for the young guys.
And Yousef Derk has my favorite origin story in the NBA. But, I don't know, he's not doing anything for anybody. He's just soaking up a paycheck.
Yeah, he's the backup center behind Walker Kessler. I expect Walker Kessler to be here next season. I think he's going to be the starter for the long run for the Utah Jazz. And Yousef's going to back him up for a year, and they're going to get to free agency and have all this cap space next summer, which is something that Austin Ainge, by the way, said in his very first press conference that he values. And he thinks, having salary cap space and wiggle room there is probably more valuable than just having expiring contracts.
What does Collin have left, 2?
$19 million. Just 1 year, 19. He was the same.
So they're
place.
both expiring contracts.
Yeah, they're both expiring contracts. I don't think the Jazz wanted to get more money on the books that was going to last beyond this year. So you limit yourself to players making $19 million or less on expiring deals. So there's not a huge pool there, but this was a very underwhelming return for a good player in Collin Sexton.
Well, that's what makes it even more baffling. It's not like if you were moving off an extra year of his contract, they're okay.
Yeah.
So you get an expiring one, you chop off a year. Well, that makes some sense. This is no value at all. This is nothing.
My theory, and I was told this was wrong, but my theory was this trade was discussed before the draft, and it would have allowed the Jazz move from 5 to 4, so they could have gotten their guy, and Charlotte could have dropped back to 5 and still taken Con Knipple, and the Jazz could have made sure that nobody traded up to 4. Because that actually would have made sense to me, right? You move up a pick in the top 5, you take back Nurkic, they get Collin Sexton, so they get a little bit of value, they get a better player, you get a better pick. That makes total sense to me. I was told that did not happen. So that's how far I was trying to just go to understand why the Jazz would do this deal outside of clearing room for the young players. And my sense is there's just not a market for guys like this right now. And I wonder if Collin's values hurt a little bit because I think circumstantially, purely, he's been on losing teams throughout most of his career. I don't think Collin Sexton is a losing player.
No, I don't either.
I think he can help good teams win. And I think the same thing is there for John Collins. And my guess is because we know the Jazz are trying to trade John Collins, if the market was there for him, he'd be gone already too. Because we've seen names move in the last couple of weeks. So I just don't think there's a robust trade market right now for guys like that. And maybe the salaries are weird, and maybe the 1 year expiring thing is weird, but I just don't think the Jazz are going to get good assets back from these guys.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, clearly they didn't. They had to give
Collin.
up an asset to get off Collin, which is tough. I'm sure that was a tough pill to swallow.
I guess in theory you get worse, which is a good thing.
Well, this is the thing, and this is, it goes back to Austin Ainge's debut press conference when he answered the questions about tanking and said, we're not going to do that anymore. The Jazz are not going to be inauthentically bad on the court. The Jazz are not going to rest guys, sit guys, not allow Will Hardy to coach to win. They don't want to do that anymore, and that is what happened last year. So they're going to have to be authentically bad on the court. And how do you be authentically bad on the court? You inauthentically lose trades in the offseason.
Maybe it's something else is coming. I remember when Pat Riley, not that this is happening, but Pat Riley made all these wild trades right before he signed LeBron and Dwayne Wade. And you're like, what on earth? And then it's like, oh, yeah, well, they signed LeBron.
I think
they traded Michael Beasley, who was the second pick in the draft, for a bag of potato chips. And it was like, what on earth are they doing? And it's like, oh, okay.
I think the Jazz are just going to go young. I think they're going to have Lowry. We'll see what happens with Svi. Walker Kessler is kind of your premier players. Svi doesn't count in this conversation, obviously, but Walker and Lowry are going to be your premier players, and it's going to be all youth movement around them. And you let Will Hardy go to town, and you probably win 28 games, and you're still in the lottery, and you're not giving up your draft pick.
VHT will help you lose.
He might, but he is a veteran. He's a veteran in the locker room who potentially at the trade deadline could have some value for a team wanting to add Hail Mary shooting.
Yeah, and by the way, I'm fine with going the maintain our integrity route because, like you've said many times, doesn't feel like last year felt very good to very many people.
I don't think anyone liked it. I don't think the players liked it. And it's hard to know. Like, do you know if Keontae's a good player? I don't know. He's been in a lot of weird situations, right? He comes off the bench to start his career, but he's in the lineup right away, so he didn't really have to earn it. I mean, he earned it a little bit, but not the way some young guys have to. Then he gets moved to the bench. Then he comes back and starts the second half of the season. Then he starts the beginning of his second season. Then he gets benched halfway through. I don't want to say bench, but moved to the six-man role. Maybe try and win and see what he does. Maybe just put him in more authentic situations and see if he's a good player. Because I don't know right now if you know. But there's some juice there. He's got some talent. So I think that's what they want to do with all of these young guys.
Light a fire, Ben.
Yeah.
And maybe Keonte makes the step Walker made.
Yeah, absolutely right.
He has to learn a similar lesson.
Absolutely.
So maybe that happens.
Yeah.
And that is a thing. I mean, not that this specifically happened to Hans, but talk to Hans the vibe about when a team drafts somebody at your position.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I'm on notice. And Walt has a lot of juice coming out of Florida.
Yes. Does a lot of the same things as Keonte.
Right.
Might do them better.
Exactly. And Keonte needs some motivation to get it to play hard. He does. We've talked a lot about it.
But it does sound like he's had a very good summer.
Right.
Keonte does.
But everybody's had a good summer.
But I've specifically heard Keonte had a very good summer.
Big 12 Media Days
singled
next
out.
Week. Everybody's had a good summer.
Keonte was singled out specifically.
Who was our guy who swindled us from Houston last year? We're like, oh, this guy's going to win 12 games.
Yeah, Houston's coach from Tulsa.
Guys, look at this team. We've had a really good summer.
What's his name? Fritz. I was going to call him Frizzle. Yeah, Fritz. Willie
Fritz.
Big Willie style.
Jake, Ben, boy.
They beat Utah.
These guys have.
They did beat Utah.
True. What was their final record? It was better than what we thought, right?
I think they won like 5 games, right?
Yeah, something.
Because they beat Kansas State also, didn't they, in the middle of the season? I think they beat Kansas State.
That's right, because we were
back-to-back.
celebrating our guy Fritz. Maybe he was right.
Yeah.
Everybody, we've had a great summer. All right. We've got top 3 stories of the day at KSLSports.com coming up next. It is the Jake and Ben Show on a Monday, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I present...
This is JJ and Alex.
Watching an unlikely champion like the Florida Panthers, they sucked forever. One of the most irrelevant pro sports franchises of the last 2 decades until 2022. They're the 8th seed and they end up making a run to the Stanley Cup final. And ever since then, they've dominated this league. It takes time. The Panthers had to be patient. They got the right guy to lead it. It all came together for them. So now we're dreaming of a Stanley Cup here because we have an NHL team. You watch the Florida Panthers do it. The Stanley Cup going places that that no one ever thought it would be. Why not here? Why not in Utah? You're thinking about, okay, what could the Utah Mammoth do to make this happen? And now it's a reality. Like, this is something the Mammoth can go do. And I think that Ryan Smith is going to be highly motivated to provide the resources to do it. And I think you got a general manager who could build a Stanley Cup championship team. The parts are in place here to be able to do something like this.
Catch JJ and Alex afternoons from 3 to 6. Presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jacob at 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. It's time for the top 3 stories of the day. KSLSports.com, sponsored by J. Brooks Jewelers. Cherish your love with J. Brooks Jewelers. Explore their expertly crafted engagement rings made from the finest materials. J. Brooks Jewelers. Christian is vacationing this week. He's off having a good time. So Hatch is filling in. I was talking to Hatch about this. I bet it is hot and humid.
Yeah.
If you've ever been to Minnesota in the summer,
Yep.
It's not really what you would picture.
There are people who joke that Minnesota's state bird is the mosquito.
Yeah. Yeah. Been there.
Yeah.
Very hot.
Yeah.
Very muggy. All right, Hatch, where are we starting today?
All right, number 1, BYU quarterback Jake Rzoff is leaving BYU, and as of earlier this morning, the civil lawsuit alleging sexual assault by him has officially been dismissed.
According to our own Mitch Harper at KSLSports.com, attorneys for both Rzoff and the unnamed woman known as Jane Doe filed a joint motion to dismiss with prejudice the case on Monday, meaning it will not be brought back to court. However, Jake Rzoff has announced that he's leaving BYU.
Yeah.
He hasn't announced it
But,
formally.
okay, that's
the
true.
reports are that he is leaving,
leaving.
and yeah.
He's leaving.
And the backstory is there was a recommended 3-game suspension, which has kind of been in the ether for a little while. It got bumped up to 7 games.
So, from what I understand, trust me, I've been on the phone all weekend about this, is that his side wanted a 3-game ban. They said, we'll take 3 games. BYU, whether that's the Board of Trustees, university leadership, came back, said, no, it's 7 games.
7 games. And
He believes that's untenable, and therefore he is leaving.
And this is his last year of eligibility,
Yes,
correct? So
correct.
that doesn't make really any sense for him to miss 7 games for his future alone.
Yes.
Honestly, BYU doesn't want him back either. I speculate. I would guess that they just want to be rid of this situation. And regardless of the outcome in court, which I hope, it works itself out appropriately. I suppose that's where the system is designed for. But if BYU were to bring him back in any way, shape, or form, and at this point, it would be a bad look. I wondered why all this was taking so long, and the answer is probably to find the best outcome for everybody, honestly. Whether that's appropriate or not, and I don't want to speak about the victim necessarily, but BYU still can say we have our standard, we live up to it, and this is our honor code, and we're proud of it. Jake can go find a different place to play.
And Jake will find a place to play. This will allow Jake to go and find a new place and probably be a day 1 starter.
Right.
Because what Jake is alleged to have done and what he has acknowledged that he did is not a crime at any other school. It's not suspension worthy at any other school.
Not any other school, but yeah, most schools.
Yes, most other schools.
Keep
So
an eye on Notre Dame.
yeah, it's kind of
that's what everybody's saying. And you know what? He and Notre Dame will have to answer questions about this as soon as he gets there, and that's what I'm saying. BYU just can't have that.
But today's move to just say, look, guys, it was dismissed. Her side dismissed it too.
Yep.
It was a big misunderstanding or whatever you want to say going forward. He now can start day 1. It's a big loss, though. Look, there's a reason BYU would want Jake Rzoff. He's a good quarterback.
Yeah, and they have a good team.
They're good. He's good. He showed he could win. Put together some absolutely massive drives for BYU. Had some really clutch performances at BYU. He's a good player. This is a major loss for BYU. This is going to be difficult going into a season where I think a lot of guys returned to school and skipped the draft because they wanted to come back knowing that they had a quarterback who could win.
Why did Lloyd just come in here?
I don't know.
It's always disconcerting when Lloyd just walks in, gives Ben a dirty look, and then walks out. Are you in trouble?
He's trying to figure out the temperature in here.
Well, we're artificially adjusting the temperature.
I wouldn't say that out loud. But anyways, this is a big loss for BYU. And whoever starts next year, it's going to be, I don't want to say starting from square one because that's not the case. They've had some quarterbacks in the system. But if it's Bachmeier who comes in, it's a big leap. It's a big gamble on a new player.
Well, it definitely, they would have been a favorite in the conference as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
If he were to play. Now, I would not lump them into that category probably.
No, they still have an opportunity. The pathway is there.
We'll see, but who knows?
Yeah, you are asking the most difficult position in all of sports to figure it out nearly on the fly.
Yes.
And A-Rod's going to have to work his wonders again to get somebody up and running. And
Young and who's never done it before.
And Jake, am I wrong? Hatch, am I wrong? This is 4 different starting quarterbacks in 4 years at BYU?
Yeah. If you're talking about day one,
day one starters
of the season, it'd be 4 in 4 years. Now, it's going to be a 3-way battle because you have McKay Hillstead, Trayson Bourget, and then the newly arrived Bear Bachmeyer who factor into this race. But to your point, Ben, it's hard to say that you can just go and replace a guy who led you to an 11-2 record and number 13 overall ranking and say, we're going to be just fine.
And Bachmeyer's never taken a snap, right?
Correct. He went through 2 weeks of spring ball at Stanford.
Yeah. So.
There's just the unknowns when it comes to quarterbacks is the great wild card. You know, it turned out when Urban Meyer took the job at Utah in 2003, he inherited a quarterback situation that was arguably the best in the country.
Yeah.
Because Brett Elliott turned out to be really good, and he was the one that Urban picked. Brett got hurt, and Alex Smith came in, and we know the end of that story. I mean, Urban Meyer had no idea. He had the number 1 pick in the draft on his bench. He had no clue. Nobody did.
Yeah, no, you wouldn't expect that at Utah.
John L. Smith's nephew?
Yeah, right.
You know?
Yeah.
The guy who handed the ball to Reggie Bush for his entire high school career, that guy's the number 1. You're kidding.
Yeah.
You know, so there's so much of a randomness to it. I mean, we've seen, how about Hatch back in the 90s? Take a BYU example. How about, what was it? It was Paul Shoemaker v.
Matt Berry?
No, it was pre-Matt Berry.
Oh, no, you're talking...
Is it Engelman?
It was Brett Engelman. Yes, it was Shoemaker and Engelman.
And it turned out that they both stunk.
Yeah.
You know, it was who was going to take the mantle from Sark, right? When Sark left.
Well, Federick kind of took over.
Oh, maybe it was Federick and Shoemaker. That's
Federick and Shoemaker.
It was pre-Engelman.
And then it was Engelman versus kind of the Matt Berry, Lance Pendleton era. Like there was a run there.
Matt Berry v. John Beck. That was that because.
Well, Berry played through 3 different quarterback battles and ended up, the John Beck one was.
And until they got to John Beck, until they got to Brandon Doman, they really didn't have anybody.
Doman, let's be honest.
And then they accidentally played Doman, which plays into this beautifully. Lavelle tried to switch Doman to safety for years.
They were hit bottom barrel with quarterbacks and said, Doman, get in there and give it a shot.
I guess.
And struck gold.
And all of a sudden he's an NFL quarterback. You know, you just never know. That's the hard part.
You don't know. There is a thing about actually being on the field when the lights are the brightest, and some guys flourish and some guys fail. And you can't tell from practice alone, obviously. Because everyone would get it right, and that's not the case.
Jake Heaps is the spitting image of that. Looked great in practice, and games was a different story.
Cam Rising's the flip.
The opposite.
Right? Couldn't win the starting job, and then
absolutely.
he gets out there, and you're like,
yes.
Dude's a gamer.
Okay.
Yeah. So, anyways, number 2.
We got to get off this guy. Have you seen him practice? And all of a sudden he's winning conference championships. Who knows?
Yep.
It's crazy. Next.
All right, number 2, the Utah Mammoth complete the NHL entry draft and open minicamp today up in Park City.
Caleb Denoye.
Sounds pretty sweet.
Drafted number 4 overall.
Camp up in Park City.
I do like that this gets started right away. They get up there, they get on the ice. So Caleb, the number 4 overall pick, is going to be up there. He goes by Desi, which is a great nickname. Cole Baudouin from last year is there. TJ Gindler's up there, but he's not really able to fully compete and everything because he had double hip surgery.
Yeah, we're not going to see Desi for probably a year.
Yeah, probably about that.
Usually how it goes. So we'll see. The development, we've got to manage our expectations with this NHL thing. It just goes a little slower than we're used to than the NBA.
And it's exciting. You know, everyone gave Utah very high grades for drafting him. He seems to be universally beloved by his, peers at that age. There seems to be a lot of belief in him as a player. Some think he may have slightly lower upside than some of the other stars drafted at the top, but he has won every single place he's gone. That's kind of his reputation. He just wins. So we'll see how quickly he can get into the lineup and probably backs up Logan Cooley at that center position. But a lot of young talent on this team. It's kind of cool.
It is cool, and it's cool to see them build a squad. The big trade was fun to cover last week, and we'll see where they go. They could certainly have gotten some luck lately.
Yeah, it's been a good summer for the Mammoth and for Bill Armstrong.
All right, what's next?
All right, number 3, the Utah Jazz begin summer league practices right now.
This is going to be a pretty loaded summer league roster. Now, that doesn't mean anything. Who cares? But you go down the list, it's going to be all of the young players minus Keonte George and Walker Kessler. But you're talking about Isaiah Collier, no Taylor Hendricks, he's still hurt. Kyle Filipowski, Ace Bailey, John Tonji, Walt Clayton Jr., Bryce Sensabaugh's going to play in Salt Lake City. He's not going to play in Vegas, but he's going to play in Salt Lake. Cody Williams, number 10 overall pick last year. And then you've got a couple of other guys who have signed that are coming in. I don't get the impression Oscar Tshiebwe is going to play, but I think he is with the team still.
All right, so you're going to see some names, some guys that you're going to see. In fact, the Summer League should be full of some interesting prospects.
Yep.
So.
And then a couple of, handful of other names just to fill out the rosters. But I imagine that comes out today. I mean, the practice is happening today, so I suspect we will get a
I bet the coaches are running them.
A full roster.
You know what we do on day one?
We run.
Run a
Get
lot.
used to the altitude.
Yeah, that's a thing. Maybe take them
Absolutely.
hiking or something.
Yeah. Going to Ensign. Run up the hill.
Go to the top of Mount Olympus, man.
But it should be fun. And again, games start on Saturday up at the Huntsman Center because Delta Center's under construction. So you're going to have to go up to Huntsman Center to watch these games, but it should be very cool.
Yeah, it was funny to listen to PK this morning. I remember the last time they had Summer League at the Huntsman Center. It was the Gordon Hayward off season.
Yeah.
And it was Summer League started. It was in the next day maybe after Gordon Hayward left.
I believe that.
But we were up broadcasting on it was PK and I. We were broadcasting on the plaza, and they were doing fun stuff like shooting contests and all that. And I remember Dennis Lindsay walking by us, Ben, and he didn't sit down for an interview. He just walked by us, and his face said 1,000 words.
Yeah, I believe it.
That was a guy who was having a rough go.
What he probably didn't recognize was that basically the second Donovan Mitchell took the floor in Summer League, there was a thing there. There was
Nobody
a buzz.
missed Gordon Hayward.
This
was pre-game one. Uh-huh.
There was a real, as soon as he got on it, you thought, oh, this might be okay. Jazz might be okay, because it was Donovan Mitchell versus Jason Tatum, just going head-to-head at each other. And it was really a fun matchup there. So, I don't think you need to expect Ace Bailey or Walt Clayton Jr. or anyone to be Donovan Mitchell day one, but there's going to be a real buzz around this team. There's going to be a lot of eyeballs on Ace.
That is the interesting thing about Summer League. There are a lot of not Donovan Mitchell. A lot.
Yeah.
And as far as refereeing goes, there's also a lot of not Dick Bavetta. Well, no, bad example. Who's a good official?
Kennedy.
Our guy Billy Kennedy.
Billy
Yes,
Kennedy.
he is a good official.
Billy Kennedy knows what he's doing.
There's a lot of not Billy Kennedys in the
Scott
Summer
Foster.
League. You know what I mean?
A lot of guys liking to call fouls.
Well, isn't that a training ground? Ben, you know this. Isn't it a training ground for officials? They're bringing G League officials and the like in to give them a try.
Yeah.
It's an audition for everybody.
And there's unlimited amount of fouls in the Summer League. So they're not going to let a foul go uncalled. And it does make for a clunky game.
Yeah.
But fun nonetheless. I shouldn't discourage people from going because Summer League does have its charm for sure.
And you know what? I'm really curious to see how Cody Williams looks. Has he made any progress?
I hope he's fat.
He's not.
Because you can trim fat, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he needed the bulk to begin with, like Mac and Always Sunny.
You saw I've seen some workout videos of him that the Jazz have posted. He doesn't look fat. He does look more muscular, but I don't think he's put on a ton of weight.
He just can't be. He just got pushed around so much last year.
Yeah. But you know what? Isaiah and Keonte were both at the press conference yesterday and apparently went to dinner with Ace Bailey and Tanji and with Walt Clayton. That's a real investment in those guys. I think you're bringing those guys around to meet the young core. That means they're a part of the young core.
Oh, certainly.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's what they've got. I mean, that's going to be the direction going forward. We just, talked about that for an entire segment.
Yep.
Which should be more appealing, I think, than who's going to play.
Yeah. I think you roll the ball out and guys can win jobs. I think there's going to be jobs won and lost, I don't think it's going to be artificially putting players on the floor. I think everyone's going to get a chance. But I don't think they're going to overload players who aren't capable of being out there.
Oh, I think they'll do that to Ace Bailey.
Yeah, well, Ace is going to play. Yes,
Yeah.
Ace would be the exception in that conversation.
Yeah.
But, I think there's a chance if Cody's not playing better than he was last year, he won't play. He'll just be in the G League all year.
Well, he shouldn't play if he's playing like he did
Agreed.
last year.
It didn't help him.
No.
Yeah.
All right, stay tuned. We'll have more coming up next. It's Jake and Ben Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hey, bro. You hear us every day with our crazy opinions.
Hey, what you doing?
Well, now, it's time to hear from you.
Hey, great show.
Download the KSL Sports app and fire off your thoughts with the call-in tab on the bottom of your screen.
Your show is fantastic. It's the one that captivates me the most.
You can tell PK to stop singing.
Cheap bass! Cheap bass!
Let Jake and Ben know what you really think of the Jazz.
Woo!
Tell Hans and Scotty about your favorite barbecue spot or what color of tie JJ should be wearing on TV. The best entries will be played on the air. Download the KSL Sports app now and hit the call-in button to let your voice be heard.
I think you guys do an incredible job.
This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hatch, usually it's you and me where people get misunderstood about who they are. Hatch just called me DJ.
Yeah.
Which I'm going to take as a compliment. I think very highly of David James.
Sure.
Win big every Wednesday on the KSL Sports Zone with Win Ticket Wednesday. This Wednesday, win tickets to the Sandman, Adam Sandler, the You're My Best Friend Tour, October 26th at Delta Center. Tickets go on sale, or went on sale last Friday, but you can listen coming up on Wednesday for your chance to win right here on The Zone. Ben, I know you were following the Bezos wedding closely over the weekend, as was I. Mm-hmm. And all the reports are that, and you're a fan of this woman, Sydney Sweeney she was the one like taking all the attention, like even more so than the bride. And you may ask yourself, why is this relevant?
Oh, I know why. Oh, why it's relevant. Okay.
For us.
Yeah.
Well, it could be relevant for many different reasons. Relevant to us that one of the people she was, actually the two people that I found interesting that she was kind of canoodling with, one, Orlando Bloom, because he just broke up with Katy Perry, so that certainly is scandalous. But two, Mr. Tom Brady.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Tom Brady, the GOAT, the legendary Patriots quarterback. And it got me thinking, whether you know it or not, most people have a type.
Okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody once pointed out to me that I had a type because I never thought I did. But then looking back on it, yeah, I have a type.
Okay.
Pretty easy to pin down what Tom's is.
Okay.
Looking at his previous relationships.
Sure.
Supermodel, and
actor, but
supermodel.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I watched season 1 of The White Lotus. I mean, she seems fine, but she's not the best actor I've ever seen in my life.
5'3", short.
Anywho, yeah, Tom has a type. And how about that for a revenge girlfriend?
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like Giselle has the jiu-jitsu
guy.
Yeah.
I'm going for 23-year-old Sydney
the next hot starlet.
However old she is.
I think he tried it with Kim Kardashian and then was like, I can't go down this crazy. So I can't be on TV. So.
Oh, she's 27.
Anyway, chatting it up with Tom.
How old's Tom? 47? That's a 20-year age difference. Come on, Tom.
Do you think that matters to Tom?
No, I don't think it matters to Tom, but I like when people meet someone they really vibe with and fall in love.
Tom's following the Derek Jeter playbook.
I don't know.
Let's be real here.
Yeah. I don't know if Tom has the ability to do all this.
Because Tom got married. Derek Jeter's whole thing was
wasn't
going to be...
since...
Oh,
yes.
Since not being married, yeah. Because Jeter's thing was, like, the day he retired, he got married or something like that. Like, he retired and then immediately got married.
Correct, yes.
It's like, I'll do my thing while I'm playing.
Yeah.
And he was famous for the gift basket or the signed bat to send him away.
Which is hilariously polite.
I had to call an Uber and I put a signed bat in the back, and the guy asked me who it was.
I said, I don't know. I had no idea who he was.
Still wearing my date night clothes and carrying a baseball bat.
Okay, that visual is funny.
Carrying a bat for heels in one hand and a baseball bat over your shoulder on the other. Oh, I see you were at Jeter's.
I've seen this before. That's funny. That is funny, a bat. Couldn't you give her something more discreet? A bat. A big poster, like, framed. You know what I mean?
Headshot.
With a autograph on there. Can I put this in the trunk?
Yeah. Give me a baseball card. At least I can conceal it. Throw it in my clutch. Take it around.
Oh, man. So anyway, I thought you'd be interested in the latest and greatest.
Well, rooting for Orlando Bloom and Katy Perry. I hope they both
You hope they rebound?
No, I hope they both find happiness elsewhere.
Separately.
Yeah.
Separately.
Maybe.
You I don't know if this is true or not, but did you read the reason part of the reason anyway for the fallout?
No.
He apparently thought it was silly that she did the space thing, and she was like, I'm an astronaut.
She made it a part of her identity.
Like that was like her thing. Like it was such a big deal to her, and he was like, "No, that was kind of."
Which is something kids do, right? Like
it is.
You're going to take
childish.
your kids to Legoland coming up. Spoiler. Sorry, I hope your kids aren't listening. One of your kids is going to come back and be like, "My identity is I'm a Lego person." Like I went once, and now my whole identity is I love Legos. Katy Perry takes a higher than average normal commercial flight that goes like 10,000 feet higher than wherever you're going.
Your normal Delta Airlines thing. Yeah.
She's like, well, I'm getting a tattoo. I'm getting an astronaut tattoo. I'm buying my own suit.
And she gets back, and he's like, "You're getting us killed online. You got to stop with this stuff." And she's like, "How dare you not respect my astronautness?"
Yeah, my altitude.
I'm basically Buzz Aldrin, and you're walking around here like I didn't do something. Funny reason for a breakup.
Pretty tough.
Life is funny.
That was a PR swing that her team made to send her into space that has failed as badly as any I've ever seen.
Giant misunderstanding of how that was going to be perceived.
And everyone else on that flight is thrilled because they have pretty much dodged the bullet because Katy has taken all of them.
Yeah. Like, who else was on there? Gayle King?
Gayle was on it, yeah.
Yeah, it was a bunch of kind of celebrities. You know how I know it's not the same as Buzz Aldrin? Because do you know who the first one Musk shot into space? Was Bill Shatner.
Oh, that's right.
I mean, if it was really that big a deal, like, they wouldn't be firing 98-year-old Bill Shatner or whatever it is into space. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm sure Orlando was like, dude, Bill did that like a year and a half ago.
Yeah. He's geriatric.
By the way, if you've never seen Bill Shatner's cover of Rocket Man, do yourself a favor. I have no idea where that came from, if that was some random TV show or something, but that's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Have you ever seen it?
No.
Google William Shatner Rocket Man. We could even do this on air because there is obviously a singing component, but it is very strange. All right, well, more coming up next.
He tried to be a musician for a while there, yeah.
I see. Thank you. All right. Want to remind you before we go, Ethan Millard with Teton Wealth will be in studio with Hans and Scotty today to help with your retirement plan. Tune in or visit retireteton.com. We'll talk more Jazz basketball coming up right around the corner. Other NBA stuff too, Ben.
Including the weirdest comment ever from LeBron James's team. We got to talk about this. I need you to tell me what I'm reading.
Okay.
Will you walk me through it?
This is my favorite stuff.
Because I have no idea what I'm reading when I look through this thing. I got this text yesterday while I was working in the yard, the alert from Shams, and I could not decipher for the life of me if I was having a stroke or if I just am an idiot or if they said something wrong. So I need you to walk me through it.
Well, it's all of it.
Okay.
It's all of the above.
I hope it's not a stroke.
Well, it could have been. It was hot yesterday.
Yeah, it was.
I thought for a brief second I might be having a stroke yesterday.
Heat stroke.
Yeah. Stay tuned. More straight ahead. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.